Hōʻike, we ready? Okay. Ready. Staff? Today is November 26th. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan.
Here.
Councilmember Carvalho.
Here.
Councilmember Cowden.
Here.
Councilmember Holland.
Present.
Councilmember Kaneshiro.
Present.
Councilmember Cooley.
Present.
Council Chair Pozo. Council Chair Pozo.
Here.
All present.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or public testimony? Okay, so there was a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Next item, please.
Chair, next item is on page 2, the minutes of the following meeting of the council, the October 15th, 2025 council meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item are interviews. First one for the Board of Water Supply, Anastasia Perry, term ending 12/31/27.
With that, I will suspend the rules. Ms. Ching? Oh, this is the one via Zoom, yeah? Yeah. Okay. Welcome, Ms. Perry. She is currently in school on Oahu, so she could not break away from her rigorous curriculum. So she's, I said it was perfectly fine for her to attend by Zoom. So thank you for being here.
Morning, Ellen Ching, Boards and Commissions Administrator. First, I'd like to wish everybody a very blessed and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Today, I'm pleased to introduce Anastasia Keala Perry. Anastasia was born in Waimea and attended Kawaikini Elementary and Middle School and currently attends Kamehameha School at the Kapalama campus. Anastasia has always liked math and is interested in pursuing a degree in engineering and following her older sister to a college on the East Coast. In her free time, she enjoys staying in shape with canoe paddling. She joined the team in her sophomore year and has raced 4 times, always in the 5th seat. The 5th seat is a powerful paddler who assists the steersperson with steering and maintaining the canoe's stability. Her duties include helping to run with the waves by working with the steerer to surf them, acting as a backup for steering and communication, and closely monitoring the ama to prevent capsizing. Seat 5 must also be ready to bail water and have a strong, smooth paddling technique to avoid disrupting the canoe's line. Anastasia loves the water and also sails in a 2-person dinghy. Since she was a child, she's enjoyed making leis and playing the ukulele. She especially likes making long leis like the 40-foot, 4-strand tea leaf leis for the Prince Kuhio Memorial. Her dad taught her to play the ukulele, and her favorite song, because it's so pretty, is Lili Koi by Paula Fuga. She's trilingual, speaking English, Hawaiian, and Russian. Anastasia's maternal grandparents live in Moscow, and she has visited them several times. Her favorite comfort food is Grandma's scalloped potatoes. Anastasia comes from a family with deep roots on Kauai. She's the daughter of proud parents Kimo and Natasha Perry. Natasha will be leading the county's newest initiative in child care, and Kimo is one of the founders of the Kauai Kini Charter School and the Waiale Ale Scholarship Project at the Kauai Community College that offers scholarships for certificates, associate degrees, and mentorships to assist students. This program was so successful in helping students graduate, it's been replicated statewide. Her grandfather is none other than Warren Perry, an attorney who served the county as the 2nd Deputy County Attorney. Both father and grandfather are long-standing members of the Royal Order of Kamehameha. With her interest in engineering, the Board of Water is a perfect fit for Anastasia. During her busy senior year, I'm so grateful she's willing to contribute her time and effort to the board, and I look forward to her participation and perspectives.
Wow. Before I ask you, say a few words, for the public, we get these applications that come along. And one of the questions that's asked of every applicant or nominee is, please indicate why are you interested in serving and what you understand to be the primary duties. And I will tell you, 99% of them say, because I want to give back to the community. I want to serve the community. I want to, But I'm going to read hers because obviously it's not, we don't get these often. And then I'll ask you to comment on this because it's quite impressive. I am interested in serving because I would love to be a voice for my peers and advocate for what's right in Hawaii state government. I think this position could prepare me for my future in environmental engineering, and I hope to make great connections. I believe a primary duty of this role would include being a fair and equal representative of my peers, and I think I could provide a helpful perspective as I am a boarder and have experienced opinions from across the Pai'aina. Another role would be remaining a good standing student, keeping up in my grades, and remaining timely and efficient in all of my work and attending monthly meetings. Very impressive for a high school student. So thank you, and the floor is yours.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor to be here and to have this interview. So the reason why I found out about this program was because I actually know La'akea Chan, who started this initiative, and she's one of my close friends. And she really inspired me and made me want to be a part of this. And then Auntie Buffy approached me and encouraged me to apply. So I wanted to serve on the Board of Water because obviously I wanted to be involved in my community. And especially as a boarder, sometimes it's difficult to be involved from living on another island. And I think the Board of Water would be a great place for me because I grew up in the Wai Valley, and it was always stress to me growing up how important Vai is for Ola, and how important Vai is for the community, and how it ties land and people. And I understand that the Board of Water is in charge of managing it in sustainable ways and controlling and operating waterworks for the county and supplying it to the public. And I think it would just be super cool to observe and be a part of something so interesting, especially because I want to go into environmental engineering, so it's kind of right up my alley. And yeah, I'm just super excited to be here today, and thank you all for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you. It's our honor, actually, so thank you for being here today. Any questions for our nominee, Ms. Cowden?
Hi, thank you so much for being interested in the Board of Water. I tend to go to those meetings almost every month, and it's excellent, especially for you as an engineering student. And, it's like the lifeblood of the county, so everything feeds off from it. You have the opportunities. What I like is that it's also a virtual meeting, so you're going to be able to attend I think it's the third or fourth Thursday of every month in the morning. It's usually about 3 hours, so you can take the time off to video attend it.
Sorry, that was a question. If I can attend?
Yeah, you can do that, because that way you don't have to fly back, right? You can attend it. Are you able to get out of class to watch them, the meetings?
I think I could try. I do have a free in the morning, so I'm free from around 7:40 to 8:55. I'm not sure what exactly the timelines of the meetings are, but I think I could definitely ask to see if I could be given a chance, because it's only once a month. So I think that they would be willing.
Yeah. It's 9:30 to probably about 11, but they're so important, and it's wonderful with your background and your sense of knowledge of how important water is. So that's really great. So I'm appreciative that this is the one that you're going to join.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here today and making the time. And we will vote on this at the next meeting. So get back to class. Thank you very much.
We have public testimony.
I can see you. I got this, guys. I got this. I'm sorry. You were trying to say something?
I was just saying mahalo nui.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we can. Okay. I saw a hand go up in the back. With that, the rules are suspended. Mr. Cycles.
For the record, Lonnie Psychos. It's a shame that I can't address my remarks to her. Okay? Because why you took her out of the meeting is beyond me. And so because what I have to say to her is that she is accepting an appointment to one of the most important positions in the County of Kauai. County of Kauai faces existential threat from our failure to deal with solid waste, our failure to deal with sewage, and our failure to deal with maintaining, much less expanding, our potable water. And so I very much appreciate her background. I very much appreciate her enthusiasm. What I wonder is, does she understand how important this position is? So for the last 20-some years that I've been coming to council meetings, we are informed at every single agenda item that the Board of Water Supply does not collect enough money, does not find grants or whatever to maintain our water system, much less make the improvements that are required, right? Large parts of the island don't have fire flow. We have water mains rotting out. They're overdue to be replaced. The chair's fully aware of all this. This has been discussion for a long time. The question for the young lady is she willing to take the bull by the horns? Because at our Board of Water Supply meetings, we don't see the public. We don't see the path forward. We only see the path deeper into the hole that the county's already dug for itself. And so this is extremely important. I'm very grateful that the county is bringing the younger generations into this, because it's people like her, when she ends up at my age, if the mayors and the county councils in between don't figure out these issues, she's not going to have potable water, she's not going to have a waste site, and we're going to be continuing to pollute our groundwater with sewage. And so it's a very, very important position that she's taking, and I hope she's able to rise to the challenge. I certainly encourage her to. And so thank you very much for the time, and to the young lady, ma'am, you have bitten off a big bite. I hope you can chew it. Thank you.
Before we get to the next nominee, I just want to say that this is an ex officio appointment. The mayor, Mayor Kawakami, started this program where we would bring in high school students as ex officios, non-voting members, for an experience not just for the student but for the commission as well. So I appreciate Mr. Cycle's comments, but I just want the public to be assured that this is a program. She's not taking a position of one of the charter mandated voting slots on the commission. And I support this program 100% because I think it's awesome, and I think you heard her excitement. There's more excitement than I hear from some of our other nominees that come through. So just wanted the public to be aware of that. All right, next interview.
Next interview is for the Kauai Historic Preservation Review Commission for Gerald Ida, Archaeology, term ending 12/31/27.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Thank you for being here. Ella?
Morning, Ellen Chang, Boards and Commissions Administrator. On behalf of Chair Raposo, I'm happy to introduce Council nominee Gerald Ida for the Archaeology position on the Kauai Historic Preservation Review Commission. Gerald was born and raised on Oahu, attended Waialae Elementary and Mid-Pacific Institute. He continued his education at UH Manoa and graduated with a bachelor's degree in Hawaiian and Pacific history. Upon graduation, he went to work in the legislature for Representative Tad Morioka, who was an assistant majority floor leader and actively involved in the House Finance Committee. That's where he met our former Mayor Tony Kunimura, who at the time was also an assistant majority floor leader in the House of the Representatives. It only took one session for Gerald to realize that politics was not for him. In his last days at the legislature, he happened to pick up the Honolulu magazine and read a story about a company on Kauai, the first archaeological company in the state, the Archaeological Research Center of Hawaii, with a help wanted ad. He applied and got a call to come now and was immediately hired. Gerald was assigned to many projects, particularly in Kona and on Kauai. As a member of the team, they went out into the field and surveyed properties. This is where he met the renowned archaeologist Dr. Hal Hammett. Gerald worked with the Research Center for 3 years until the company went under. Subsequently, Gerald got hired at the Garden Island newspaper for 10 years as a photographer and a jack of all trades. He even ran the press. In 1982, Hal Hammett formed his own company, Cultural Surveys Hawaii, and he would always drop by and ask Gerald about different places on Kauai, who he should talk to, and would Gerald come and work for him. Hal was persistent, and finally, in 1997, Gerald agreed. This was the start of an amazing 25-year career with Cultural Surveys Hawaii. For 7 years, Gerald was in charge of all the teams that surveyed Kaho'olawe. At the time, there were 40 archaeologists and other various specialists, including botanists, zoologists, and unexploded ordnance experts. The entire island was mapped out into 100-meter grids, and typically a team of 7 experts walked the grid and filed reports on their findings. They even found evidence of a fish pond and of people living there. But the question remains, did they live there full-time or just intermittently? For 7 years, Gerald got on a plane, flew out on Sunday afternoon, lived part-time on Maui, and worked in the field for 10 hours, and flew back to Kauai on Thursday afternoon. Gerald retired by 2014. It's not an exaggeration to say that Cultural Surveys Hawaii has produced archaeological and cultural impact studies for practically every project on Kauai, whether it was the construction or repair of a highway, bridge, water system, school, park, or housing. Their projects and studies span the island from Kekaha to Haena. How did Gerald wind up living on Kauai? Love. He married a Kauai girl, but not just any girl, but a girl whose family is deeply rooted on Kauai and part of the Kawakami family. Together they had 2 daughters. In his free time, he loves to play with his cat, Pua. Pua is the 3rd black cat that has claimed and adopted Gerald and Amy. He also enjoys watching cat videos on YouTube and playing steel guitar. He even repairs them. When I asked about food and cooking, Gerald likes to cook, but he's an old school cook. No recipes for him. He cooks like Grandma did. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and bam, it's delicious. His specialty, he cooks a mean chili. With his incredible technical knowledge and expertise, I'm extremely thankful that Gerald is willing to share his time and talents with the Historic Preservation Review Commission.
Thank you very much, Gerald. Anything you want to add to the introduction? And thank you for being here again.
Thank you. Just wanted to add that this is not my first rodeo. I've been on this commission since it was formed in the 80s. Was appointed by Tony, then Joanne, and finally Mayor Kawakami. But this is the first time I'm going through an appointment by the council. So, you know, and I want to give back to my community. I mean, I'm not, that's why I'm not real excited about this, but, you know, I've done this before. I'm totally willing to do it again.
Yeah, there's an old saying, you know, sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just, you know what works and use what works. And this is not your first rodeo, so welcome back.
Well, to be totally honest, it's like I've learned a lot being on this commission over the years, and the last term I served, I finally got the hang of it, you know.
Well, we get to benefit from that again, so thank you for being here. Any questions, Ms. Calden?
Well, I want to start by saying thank you, and I look at your career, it's like you're so perfect for this, you've already done it, but both your jobs, your entire career lends itself well for this, even with the Garden Island, because it sends you everywhere, right? And it sends you everywhere a while ago. So, I thank you, and I guess maybe you've answered questions. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else? If not, thank you again. I know that was painless, but...
Oh, I have to dress up, you know.
We will vote at the next council meeting. I don't envision any problems. Thank you very much. Anyone in the audience wishing to testify? Seeing none, I'll call the meeting back to order. And we'll move on to the consent calendar, please.
Chair, items on the consent calendar for receipts, C2025-245 and C2025-246.
On the interview? Okay, hold on, let's go back. I'll suspend the rules, go ahead.
You got to push the button. That one.
Clayton Kubo Waimea Kauai, support Darrell Ida. Mahalo.
Call the meeting back to order. We are back at the consent calendar. And I believe we did get a motion to receive and a second. Any discussion or public testimony? Second.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item is communication, C2025-247, communication from the county engineer requesting council approval to apply for, receive, and expend fiscal year 2026 state transit-oriented development capital improvement project planning funds via the State of Hawaii Office of Planning and Sustainable Development in the amount of $1 million for the Lihui Facility Plan Wastewater Collection System Condition Evaluation Project and approval of the State of Hawaii Contract for Goods and Services General Terms and Conditions. The funds will be used to secure consultant services to conduct condition inspections of prioritized portions of the existing collection system, including gravity sewers, manholes, and pump stations.
Move to approve.
Second.
With that, I'll suspend the rules if we can have Public Works come up. Yeah, if you could just state your names and...
Don Kakuda, Civil Engineer, Wastewater Division.
Yeah, the first question is the obvious question, you know, why after the fact? Why wasn't this brought to us before you guys applied?
So this opportunity came to the attention of the Department of Public Works, you know, fairly late. It had a short fuse, and so the division looked at the grant requirements, and it wasn't really straightforward, the type of grant that wastewater division typically gets. So, because of those factors, the division just, put something together real quick and submitted it. We're coming to you folks now because of the good news that we received. The wastewater division can actually qualify, fully qualify, and receive the grant.
Sorry, good news doesn't correct the issue. The question was, as required by the law or the charter, you gotta come to the council before you apply. And if the thing was, hey, you gotta apply by today, this, according to your memo, you applied for the grant on September 15th. We're almost into December. I just gotta know why. I'm happy we got it, but that doesn't eliminate the requirement that you gotta come to the council because, as I read through these documents the other day, it seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like this was going to be for the Lihue plan?
It was for it would fund the Lihue collection system inspection.
Correct.
That's a project that would go into the wastewater collection system, and very similar to the project that we have in Kaua. Send cameras in, look at the collection system, identify necessary repairs, areas that need attention, basically.
Have we done this with the Wailoa plant already?
That project is done. Maybe you can.
That one is currently, we just started the contract, so we didn't do any inspections yet. Probably next year is scheduled.
Is that funded though?
Yeah, that's fine.
So was it an oversight? Was it just something say, just wait till we get them. If we get them, we go to council. This is, it might seem minor to a lot of people, but it's not to me. It is something that we just need to do. And so I'm just curious, was it an oversight? Was it just an oversight? And
the wastewater division doesn't typically receive a lot of grants. So I think that could have played into it too. In addition to, the short fuse. And, this is something that we will discuss with all of our divisions to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Where if there's an opportunity to, go and apply for a grant, if you intend to apply, we'll take the step of making sure that we get council to review it and seek approval before we.
Yeah, I mean that's not my rule. It's not my rule. It's not the chair's rule. That's just how this thing is done.
Yeah, and that's understood.
So it's frustrating when we don't get these often, but we do get after the facts. And even if you find out and it's on a very tight time crunch, hey, shoot a memo over and say, hey, unfortunately we got to put the application in, get us on the next agenda so we can get the council's approval. I mean, that's just something that has to be done. Any other questions for solid waste? Wastewater? No? Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
You said that the wastewater division doesn't get many chances, or they don't go after grants that often.
It's not as often as other.
Why not? I mean, don't we need a lot more money to maintain our systems and upgrade our systems? I mean, it's one of the biggest deficits for this county. I mean, before we used to talk about the deficit of road maintenance, and then so we got the GAT tax, and we addressed it. But if the wastewater maintenance and upgrade and expansion is such a huge deficit, why aren't we going after more grants? And is our lobbyists in D.C. looking into that for us? Have we made that a priority?
Yes, it is a priority, and I think we can probably expect that maybe more opportunities will come up because of the importance of developing housing. I think that's why these grants, are starting to become available to the wastewater division.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s when the federal government was heavily involved in converting or implementing wastewater treatment plants. You know, the county grants were, you know, fairly available, readily available back then. But since then, a lot of communities developed their treatment systems and collection systems. And the grants weren't really available until recently, I think, when now housing is really important. Wastewater treatment of the effluent or influent coming from those developments. Because the treatment plants that we have that were developed way back when grants were, you know, available, have limited capacity now. So we need to expand our collection and treatment systems. And you know, these small grants are helpful. And I think you know, if there's going to be expect to have, you know, more capacity for housing and other new developments that you know, I think opportunities will continue coming. I'm hoping.
Thank you, Chair.
But you would agree that it's not just the housing, right? Because we're on 2050 deadline for cesspool conversions. We got a lot of infrastructural needs right now. So it's not just the new pending developments or future developments. It's our existing wastewater system that is severely inadequate because of the amount of cesspools we have. So that's a bigger drive. The other thing is, as we go to the mainland, we keep hearing from our delegation and from the White House and the Congress is that there's a lot of funds for infrastructure. There's a lot of funds. We're not asking. When we had the lobbyists here, it wasn't even on their priority list. Wastewater wasn't even on their priority. When we asked them right here, we can add it on.
When we talked to the EPA guys from, you know, for our region, he said there's small grants, but there's not any large money. So like, you know, this $1 million, there's some around, but bigger than that, he's like, it's not available. That's what he told us directly.
Who, from EPA?
EPA.
Well, there's HUD money, there's Housing Urban Development money, there's environmental funds. I mean, there are different pockets of money that we gotta go find. That's why we have a lobbyist. I'm not telling you guys go look for it. That's why we have a lobbyist. They're supposed to be finding all these pockets of money. And I was very disturbed when they were here and it was not on their radar. So I hope that you guys can put some pressure on them through the administration and say, hey, you know, that's a critical issue. So, but you know, I'm thankful we got this one. But it's the process that we got to respect. Anything else for Mr. Cavallo?
So I just wanted to follow up on it's specific to the Lihui project, right? The Lihui.
Correct.
Right. And then I know we talked about Wailua, and there's a lot of different discussions happening as we speak. And then securing of the funding in different ways. I know we have numerous discussions on that. So I appreciate the work you guys have done, but yes, we got to make sure that we get it, you know, before we make, but I know that this was something that was available, and if we reached out, there's a process, like Chair said, but at the same time, I know that we've gone through numerous discussions. I'd like the public to know that this is a very, very important discussion that is on the table right now, and we're reaching out into our community to get the support, because that's what you're going to need in order to get the money. You're going to need the community and the different areas within the community to get the funding, and then work together, federal, state, county, all of us working together to secure not just $5, $2,000, if you will, so that we can bring it back home. And I just want to make sure that there's a movement happening, and I will bring you guys back to the floor if we have to make sure that everything is moving in the right direction. I just want to say that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, thank you, guys. Rules are suspended, Mr. Cycles.
For the record, Lonnie Psychos. I'd like to commend the county engineer and the entire department there for the good work that they do. Again, over the last 20 years, there's never been a single year that they haven't been underfunded and probably still understaffed. And so I grew up in the military industrial complex, and I know from my life's experience that when you have a system, which like our wastewater system, that there is a group of people who plan these things, and that's all they do. That's their expertise. They plan it. Then there's a completely separate group of individuals and information required to bring that system into functionality, as well as sometimes having to figure out how to combine the new system with the existing system. And then there's a completely separate group of expertise that manages the system. And so counties hire people who manage systems. We don't have on the payroll, counties do not have on the payroll people who plan systems, because that's done infrequently. And so the county engineer and the liquid wastewater guys, what they lack, because we, the public, doesn't hire them, are the people to do this long-range planning. That's what you hire consultants for. And so I have an issue with anybody having a negativity towards the county engineer and the other engineers for not being further along than we are with maintaining, repairing, and replacing our infrastructure, because we've never given them the adequate resources to do it. Now, this is really great that we're going to go to Lihue and secure, have inspections of prioritized portions of the existing collection system. But what's problematic about dogging them for not getting grants is we can't tell Congress, we can't tell whoever it is exactly what it is we need the money for, and everything's all separated out. The Lihue plan is different than a plant down by me, which is different than other plants. All of this, we need to hire outside, and this is big money, we need to hire outside contractor to come in and tell us, right? Having reviewed everything, looking at your guys' potential for finances, all of that. This is your 20 or 50-year plan for dealing with our 3 infrastructure problems.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Not a call a meeting back to order. I got to respond and say that the fact that, the fact that they're underfunded is absolutely nothing to do with this council, because this council, at every single budget that I have ever sat on, we have asked the administration, what do they need for wastewater? What do they need for solid waste? And every year we get the same response. We're good. We're good. So we are prepared to fund the necessary improvements to our infrastructure. But this council doesn't have the authority to go and hire a contractor or a consultant. So I just want the public to understand, the fact that they're underfunded has absolutely nothing to do with the lack of willingness by this council. Mr. Cooley.
Yeah, Chair, and that's exactly what I was writing in my notes. So this is great. We're going after this grant. We're getting this grant, $1 million. I love, too, that this grant is going to be getting consulting services to do the analysis we need to do to know what all needs to happen, what kind of maintenance needs to happen, and what the cost of each of that is. So then that needs to be in the plan, 5, 10 more year plan, and the millions and millions of dollars, maybe hundreds of millions that it'll take, because until we know what we need, we cannot start chipping away at it. But yeah, go after the grants for sure. And I know we work with the state on some monies too. But as this council has expressed on numerous times, especially by our chair, you have to tell us what you need. And you should be working on that now. This will help some. But we're soon to be coming in another budget cycle, in just a few months, in 2026 and early in March. It's budget time again. And this is the current mayor's last budget, so hopefully he goes out with a bang and tries to figure out how to make some significant movement in this area. We've made significant movement in the past with funding investment for roads. We've done so now with the housing fund. Now it's time to focus on this, on our wastewater, because the hole just will keep getting bigger and deeper, as some of the testifiers have said. So I'm glad we're moving in this direction, but it's not new. We've talked about it for a long time.
It's just frustrating. I spoke directly in D.C. with the director of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And what she told me was there are programs that for communities that are under 10,000, so, your communities here on Kauai, they 100% fund wastewater systems for those communities. But we have not gone after that, and that's where the frustration lies. We got to be innovative. We got to be out looking and not waiting for the state to call and say, hey, we have a grant. No, we got to go out, and again, that's the task of our lobbyists. Okay, doke. With that, the motion is to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Chair, next item are committee reports on page 3 from your Committee on Finance and Economic Development, CRFED 2025-20, CRFED 2025-21, and CRFED 2025-22.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Any discussion or public testimony? Mr. Psychos, I will suspend the rules. These are the minutes.
For the record, Lonnie Psychos, just a quick question for the council chair. When this came up earlier, I believe it was stated that we've hired a contractor to resurface the golf courses.
No, that was
It's
not.
going to be done in-house?
No, it's going to go out to bid.
It's going to go out to bid?
But until we approved the funding bills, they couldn't move forward. So everything is at purchasing, ready. I'm not sure if it went out today.
And so my next question, germane to that, is we have a every other year paving program for the county's capacity to pave roads. If the current paths, if I remember correctly, are asphalt, and if
concrete.
Oh, they're concrete, and
It's completely different. Yeah.
We're going to fix concrete, not.
Correct.
Okay, then that answers my question of why our own roads guys aren't doing this, because it's concrete and not cement. Thank you very much.
Council Chair.
Yes.
I just want to add, we're no longer on a every other year paving cycle either.
Yeah.
With general excise tax money, we're paving every year.
Thank you for that. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. Any further discussion? This is the committee reports in the Finance and Economic Development Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
From your Committee of the Whole, CRCOW 2025-07.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
On page 4, resolutions. Resolution number 2025-41, resolution confirming mayoral appointment to the Board of Ethics for Noel Lau.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan.
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho.
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro.
Aye.
Councilmember Kuali'i.
Aye.
Council Chair Oposo.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is resolution number 2025-42, resolution authorizing the conveyance of 2 parcels of county land to the State of Hawaii Department of Land and Natural Resources.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. With that, I'm assuming we're going to get a presentation. I see the mayor here. Are you here for this, Mayor? Okay. Did you want to address the first, or? Yeah, sure. Okay. With that, I'll suspend the rules. When the mayor shows up in a suit, that means he has something to say. So.
No, the story behind the suit is when I was first on council, my mom watched every council meeting on every island, and she said, hey, when you guys are on council, how come you guys don't wear suits like the other islands? And I said, I don't know. She goes, who's the guy wearing the suit over there? I said, oh, that's the attorney. She goes, hey, don't let the attorneys outdress the elected officials.
Well, I'll just use personal privilege that Phyllis Kunimura came in here. We honored her. This was many, many years ago. Kaipua Singh was the chair. And Phyllis came in and she said, "Look at all these pictures on the wall. Why don't you guys wear a suit? You guys should have more respect for this place." And now I felt like she was talking to me, you know. So after that meeting, I went to see Kaipo. I said, "Kaipo, maybe we should wear suits." "We ain't wearing suits." But since that day, at least I compromised. I don't have the jacket, but since that day, I wear the tie because of Phyllis Kunimura.
Oh.
That is the story.
That's funny. Anything to put a smile on Auntie Phyllis's face, and of course, put a smile on your mom's face. Hello, everybody. My name is Derek Kawakami, Mayor County of Kauai, and before I just give a brief synopsis, I just want to say thank you, folks. Thank Council Services, our council members, Council Chair, Vice Chair, for the good work that you folks do on behalf of the people of Kauai and Niihau, and especially since we're going into Thanksgiving, there's a lot of work you folks do that the public is very thankful for. So we have been taking a look at what's been done down at KA under the state's leadership, but more importantly, the community's leadership. And if any of you folks went to KA pre the improvements, there was a likelihood that you would have gone and left extremely frustrated. It was like Mad Max and the Thunderdome, just getting a parking there. And a lot of local people would avoid the area just to avoid the conflict, the stress, the anxiety of having to battle the rest of the world to enjoy one of the most beautiful places on earth. And so as we saw the transformative progression of KM and all of the improvements, what we got to see is a local economy being created in partnership with the Hui, the Hanalei Initiative, and many other community members. And it was really empowering to see how involved the community was in the management of this very special area. The state legislature, the state of Hawaii, the county of Kauai, HTA, KVB, have all prioritized destination management. And basically, what that means is we try to strike the right balance of supporting our visitor industry, which is the engine of our economy, and not have it erode away at our quality of life. It's an extremely big task, but one that I think the Hui Hanalei Initiative, the state of Hawaii and KA, has proven to the people that it is possible. So while assessing our assets out there and our resources and our obligations out there, we felt that a transfer of our Haiana Beach Park to the state of Hawaii, understanding that the state has a great vehicle to be able to partner up with community groups, was the best path forward in the management of that special area that we know as Haiana Beach Park. I got to tip my hat off to Alan Carpenter, our Parks and Rec team. I don't know if Pat Porter is here, but Pat's been working extremely long on this. And I want people to not think of it as a transfer of a county asset to the state of Hawaii, but I want you folks to consider that this is more so a transfer of a county asset to community groups to further support their local economy out there. I can only imagine how better it will be managed as far as parking in that area. And the beautiful thing about this transfer is it triggers this community master planning process that really gives a voice to the people that live in that area and how we move forward with Haiana Beach Park. So with that being said, I'll get off this podium and I'll stick around just in case you have any questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you being here. We do have a presentation that's going to be put up. I know we have 6 registered speakers. I'm going to leave it up to the speakers. I'm not sure how long you want to stay, but did you want to speak after the presentation or the presentation first? I'll leave that up to the after. Okay. Okay, with that, the rules are suspended. If you could just state your name for the record.
Hello, good morning. Billy Keeney. just helping this guy out.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
So this is the PowerPoint. Okay, with that, I'm sorry, I suspended the rules. I'll call a meeting back to order.
The presentation.
No. So we are back in order.
Okay, aloha, Pat Porter, Director of Parks. So Billy's going to help out with the history of
Kalamaya and oh, yep. Sorry for the confusion. I'm Billy Kini again. Currently the Assistant Director of the Hui Makaina Makana. Also community member. Pat asked me, Polly asked me to help with some of the Ha'ena timeline and history, to give you folks some of the background of the area and the management. So the history of the community taking the Kuleana on of managing this area has gone back, as you can see, probably 100 years or more. In the mid-1800s, two big things happened: the Great Mahele and the Kuleana Act, which is essentially the privatization of land as we know it. This was a foreign concept that wasn't necessarily something that was really conducive to rural and Native Hawaiian lifestyles, ways of living. This foreign concept of owning land definitely wasn't conducive to the ways that Ha'ena people were living in a very out in the country type of area. So it was coming. But at the time, Abner Paki owned Ha'ena as it was transferred through the Kamehameha's lines, and Abner Paki had gifted it to Pauahi, as we know, Pauahi of the Bishop Estate. Pauahi had then conveyed the entirety of Ha'ena to a man named William H. Pease. William H. Pease was a land surveyor, and at the time in the kingdom, and this time of where land was becoming privatized, you had to actually survey all of your land by leaps and bounds, and so they needed surveyors to actually survey all of the land, and Pease was one of these men or women who were doing that work. And how do you pay these people, these folks? You give them land, and so it was never evident that Pease or Pauahi or Abner ever came to Ha'ena that we know of, so they didn't experience Ha'ena, and so Pauahi ended up conveying Ha'ena to Pease, but Pease passed away shortly after, and then in 1872, William Kini had bought Ha'ena from the estate of William H. Pease. William Kini is my great-grandfather. So he came to own the entirety of Ha'ena, aside from some Kuleana parcels and these things within Ha'ena. My great-grandfather then transferred or corroborated with 38 families in Ha'ena to create what we call the Hui Ku'ai Aina o Ha'ena. And the Hui Ku'ai Aina movement was a movement that was happening all over Hawaii, where communities and families and ohana were coming together to create hui organizations that would buy entire tracts of land, organize themselves with bylaws, guidelines, to continue to steward and live on land as a collective. It's like an organization that owns land as communally, communal land ownership model that is was actually way before its time. It's hugely innovative that is kind of coming back now. And so all the way up into the 1950s, the Hui Kua Aina. Oh, and I would say in Wainiha, there was another Hui Kua Aina Wainiha. So this is a model that was happening all throughout Hawaii. Hui Kua Aina o Haena lived prosperously, stewarding their land communally, had their bylaws, guidelines, and everything, all the way up until the 1950s. Still a very beautiful, serene place, until statehood started to loom. There were new generations of Hawaiians. Their kind of mindsets were changing, becoming more modern. And then there were some outside interests that were trying to force land turnover. And there was a large area, Haena State Park as we know it, became pushed into condemnation in the 60s, 70s. I was skip back to 1967, where Fifth Circuit Court finalized a suit where the Hui Kua Aina was disbanded, and the lands of Haena was partitioned and sold. And members of the Hui Kua Aina were given their fair share of land in Haena, but the lands were partitioned and sold. And then later on, the lands of Haena State Park were condemned and taken for Haena State Park as we know it. All the way up until 1998, when the Hui was formed, incorporated into a nonprofit. Between 1960s and 1998 is when you see that rise and that boom in tourism and over-tourism. As many of us know, that was that time when you could go down there and there's more and more cars, more and more people were starting to go there. So 1999 is when the Hui Maka'ainana o Makana came to an agreement with the state of Hawaii for a curatorship agreement, and that was essentially to do some stewardship activities and to restore agricultural sites and graves and a poi mill. And next slide. Sorry, it's a long history. Sorry, I'm trying to summarize 1,000 years. 2006 is when Act 241 was passed, and this is the start of our efforts, not the start, kind of like the middle of our efforts to creating the first community-based subsistence fishing area, as some of you folks might have been involved in, which is a community effort and government-supported co-management effort to manage and steward our nearshore fisheries. In 2012, we created a Ahupua Alliance with near nonprofits as well as DLNR, DoCare, and Limahuli to create basically a talking point for all of our orgs and government agencies to be more communicative about our natural resources and our resource management. 2015, Haena became the first community-based subsistence fishing area in Hawaii, passed into law with a management plan and a rules package. Huge. Two more communities have become CBSFAs, Miloli'i and Kipahulu on Maui. And you have about 20 other communities that are trying to do the same thing right now. And then, as you folks know, 2018, rain bomb, never been the same since. But a good thing, in a good way, we all came together, right? Many different county, state organizations, as well as nonprofits, community groups, HTA, KVB, and all of our community partners came together to sort of work on this management plan for the entire corridor, the most effective corridor, which is the Haena corridor. I believe like 10 landslides, I would say, and cut off from the outside world for 14 months, which is a good thing because the place had to rest. And that is when the community said we didn't want to go back to, 6,000 people in Haena State Park a day. And that is when the Haena State Park Master Plan was brought off a shelf. A draft was brought off a shelf, and the community worked on it with Allen folks, State Parks, and that was pushed through by 2019, 2020, and 2020 management was starting to go, and I believe 2020 the funds were reallocated to start the infrastructure of the rebuilding of Haena State Park, and it was reopened. 2019, and the reservation system was set up June 18th, 2029 was when it was raised that the master plan was working for KA, but not the rest of the area. If I remember, that was the date when the idea of the transfer of the park was brought up. I think so. But that was pre-COVID, and then Mayor Kawakami brought up the idea of transferring the park to the state in August of 2019. Next slide. Then we have another restriction of visitors into Haena, which is COVID-19, March 2020, and that caused issued another sort of rest period for Haena, but also allowed us to rethink the management of Haena. And the Hui and Hanlei initiative actually took on a larger chunk of in the role of management and allowed us to really kind of lomi the system and find better ways of management. And when the restrictions of COVID-19 were lifted in 2022, is kind of it was much more of a well-oiled machine. And in present today, I think we still work on it really, really hard. That's pretty much what I do every day in my job. Is we think about the system, we think about Haena, and making sure that the place is stewarded well and the system is working well, and people are fed, and the Kiki are educated in Haena, and the mission of the Hui is critically strived for. And so I think if I can do my testimony now, I would just say, be super quick, as I would say that in terms of the Hui leadership, we're super supportive of the transfer, because we see we wouldn't be supportive of it if the county wasn't supportive of it, or the mayor wasn't supportive of it, and key county leaders wasn't supportive of it. I think that's why the Hui leadership is very on board with it, and as a community member and a fisherman, I think this is the way that we will start to see the voices of practitioners and community members and access actually be able to go into the management of that space. Okay, Paul.
Okay, so I can take off from here. Mayor did a good job of kind of going over what is on these slides. So what's on these slides is pretty general, what Mayor talked about, the overarching ideas. I can talk a little bit more about the management and the operational side and where we're coming from that point of view. So I would say from the beginning, when we knew Haena was going to, when we came into this position, we knew Haena was already a hot topic, and we had many in-depth conversations about how we're going to manage it. And originally the intent was never to give it over to any other entity. It was the county was going to hold on to it. But what we did at that time is we looked at the state, we looked at the Hui, we looked at Hanalei Initiative, and we saw that there was a successful program going on. So of course we're going to reach out to them. We're going to try to find information and try to learn from them and see how we can incorporate that into our operations. Going through that process, we, everything, what we found out was that we needed to cut down on the complexity of the area. And meaning complexity, I mean the multiple jurisdictions in that area. And it's not just true for Hōʻaina, it's true statewide and island-wide is where we have most of our issues, and a lot of these are unresolved issues, are where there's a lot of jurisdictions that collide in one area or overlap with each other. And that brings a big complexity to the issue, and it's hard to solve those issues. And so everything started pointing back to, what we needed to do is we need to simplify the area. And then through our talks, through our communications with each other, and just brainstorming ideas, every road, every option that we came up with, more or less kind of led us back to that idea that, one jurisdiction is the best way to go and the most effective way to manage an area. Yeah. And so that's how it came about to approach the state on management of the area. Yeah. So that's how we got to that point. Let's see. So this slide is just talks about the process that we're going through. So now we're at council. We need to get council approval to be able to go to the Board of Land and Natural Resources and get on the agenda for the board's approval. Yeah. So that would, after this step, if it's approved by you folks, then we would work to get on the board's agenda as next step. And then when that's approved, then deeds are executed, and that'll convey the ownership of the land. So with that, I think we can, so plans moving forward, I think we can have, Alan?
Sorry, we don't have this fancy stuff at our board meetings. Good morning, Chair, Council members. Alan Carpenter, Acting Administrator for the Division of State Parks. Feels like I've been involved with this project for 1,000 years, but as a matter of fact, I have been working, building trust and respect with this community for a quarter century. And I really appreciate all that has gone into this work. I'd like to start by saying I think I truly appreciate the humility embedded in the mayor's gesture, and knowing that this is something that is in the interest of the community and Kauai's residents in particular. It's not an easy thing to say, we want to give this away. And this is not a takeover by the state. It is an expansion of community management. We are simply the agency who presently has the tools to enact these management changes. And I think we all know that the Hōʻaina Master Plan has been an unqualified success for local access, management of over-tourism, protection of resources, and in the end, it's actually created a much better experience for our out-of-state visitors as well. We are certainly willing to take this on. We're not interested in taking on additional work. This will be additional work, but nor do I shy away from challenges. And I do think this challenge will be worth it for the public good. And so the mayor has graciously offered to help us with the transition, with lifeguard costs and staffing. But knowing that this will add additional work to us, we are pursuing additional positions so that we can eventually have our own maintenance staff take over for the county's interim work. And when this idea began, we didn't really have the fiscal resources we do today that are also a benefit of this plan, and the exportation of this plan to other areas such as Diamond Head, Iao Valley on Maui, Wainapanapa, where we've done the same thing in an abbreviated management effort that has created the returning of storied places to the community and their access. But now we have resources, so knowing that we did not include this as an option when we did the EIS and master plan for the Hāʻena State Park, we believe that we need to continue to work with the community on a plan, mostly a management plan, so sort of a supplemental plan for the unanticipated effects. We know we can manage parking and entry, right? But there are other issues, including spillover effects, and we're willing to work on those. So we have money set aside for community planning, and that money is not taxpayer money. It's not county tax money. It's not state tax money. That money is straight out of the pockets of tourists, right? So they're paying for us to create a better system for locals and residents. And I think that's another amazing aspect of this model, right? Is that we can now reinvest in our parks with money that is paid for straight out of folks from Nebraska and New York and California, right? Residents are free. So I guess I would just conclude by saying it's not us, it's the community, right? We get all these accolades. This community has done everything from the beginning. You know, from that, it's sort of a continuation of the Hui from 1875, right? And they recreated a similar group with many of the descendants of those folks who were part of the original Hui. So it's the people of the land driving the show, not state parks, not the county. Doesn't matter who owns it. It matters that the community is paramount in its management. So that's what I have to say. Available for any questions.
I do, and thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Oh, huh? Just a couple of questions. In the MOA that is for the maintenance is for 1 year, and it can be extended for a second year. But the lifeguard coverage is not listed in the MOA. Is that because? Oh, there's another MOA. So is the intent for the lifeguards? I guess I didn't see that one. I'm sorry. But is the intent? Maybe this is a county question. Was for the state to take over the lifeguard duties as well after a year?
I believe it is a county question. We would love for the county to continue.
I'm sure you would.
We know that.
But I mean,
we do know that you can only commit for a budget cycle, I presume, right?
Sorry?
It's like us. You could probably only commit that for a budget cycle, right? We can evaluate that. We make presently the state makes about $1 million a year. I don't think it would break the model, but we appreciate the gesture by the mayor.
Yeah. Well, I was under the impression that we were going to maintain the lifeguard there, and that it was not going to be taken on by the state. So I'm okay with it. I mean, we got to provide that.
I am too.
The other question is regarding camping. Is the state planning to continue or to have camping at Hāʻena Beach Park?
That answer will be up to the community. If they want it, and they say they want it during the community planning process, I think we should probably phase this plan a little bit. First thing is access, parking, and control, right? Gain that back first so that residents can start to park there again. And then the second phase will be what to do about uses of the park itself. I can turn on camping tomorrow by the flip of a switch. It's not something that would be difficult.
Okay, I don't camp there, so that's the questions I'm getting from the community, so that's why I'm asking it.
If they want it, we can provide it.
Okay, so camping is still going to be a possibility based on a community plan. Okay, that's all I have. Any more questions for the state or?
And did the mayor want to say something? No, don't ask him.
Yeah, I know. The floor is open for you if you want to ask a
Okay.
question.
So-
If I want a response from the mayor, I'll ask the mayor for a
Okay.
response. I think the mayor was coming up to talk about the lifeguard. I think the gentleman answered it adequately for me. So ask your question.
Okay, well, then I wanted to, did you have something else you wanted to say before I start?
Just to clarify the ocean safety.
Relax.
Honor the chair.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't start taking over.
okay, hold on. The floor is open for questions by council members. You have the floor, Councilmember Cowden. If you have a question for the state, your question is not, Mayor, do you want to say something else?
Okay,
Your
all
question
right.
is-
I have several questions for this state. And I want to start by telling the whole room how much I appreciate what's happened over the last 25 years. I have a lot of confidence at looking at what the Hanalei Initiative and the Hui o Maka'aina na o Makana has given a lot of that time unpaid, huge, huge pieces. So my questions are intended to advocate to ensure stability, for the nonprofits, and that the intention is what's going through. So I want to start with that comment. So my background has been in business, both as a very small business and then as a larger business, and so contracts matter to me. So I asked to see the contracts here, and I also looked at the terms of agreement in the back here. So in the terms of agreement in the back, these are very explicit terminology, shall. Like all this stuff that happens between the county giving the land to the state are explicit. When I look at, and maybe I want to know if I have the right things. I have this revocable permit from July of 2021. Is this the current permit that these guys are operating under?
Yes, it is. But at a recent board meeting of the Land and Natural Resources, they approved a 10-year management agreement, which is still in draft form, so it's not been approved and it's not released. That is the authorization. The agreement is in process, but it's for 10 years. And I can tell you that we are never going to rest until we get the proper vehicle to make this whole thing work properly. There's still people working behind the scenes and at the ledge to create the perfect model for co-management, and they're going to be pushing through this legislative session a co-management addendum to Chapter 171 in state law to create a better vessel than a concession agreement for these types of things, which are much deeper than that. And so they got 10 years. The next one might be 30, right? But we have, yes.
So for clarification, that makes me feel a little bit better. This is not the current piece. This is...
That is an authorization only.
This is July 25th.
Correct. That's
So
the
this
approval to enter into the 10-year agreement. The 10-year agreement has not been consummated yet, but it will be.
It hasn't been written yet.
Oh, it's between us and our AGs right now, yeah.
Okay, so when I'm looking at this potential letter, there's a lot of wording in here that are what I would say expressing an intention rather than a commitment. They are soft words, like we're authorizing a discussion, right, for the DLNR to talk to them. We're authorizing that. All these words are soft words in here. None of this is a commitment. So I guess I'm curious. Like, I support this, but it's difficult for me to get excited about something this profound without having committed words. Like, this is an intention. So what happens if the BLNR, they said yes, you said. They said yes, that we can do a 10-year agreement.
Yes.
And then, so the legislature is who comes up with that 10-year agreement?
The legislature is looking at a better path than the concession agreement that we're going to get. And then we can go back to the board, and when we have a better path, create a longer term, more appropriate agreement between parties. But in terms of commitment, we are committed through 25 years of shared dedication to this and have no intention of slowing down.
Well, I fully trust you. I want to say that. Why I'm asking these questions is just, to the best of my knowledge, council would have one day this time to say yes, and it's a done deal.
If I may, it's not a done deal till our board accepts it on the other end. So you're just offering it up. Our board still has to be convinced, and you're free to testify to our board as well.
And then there's this. I want it to work out, so I want to be clear about that. And then there's this 1 year in here that's in here saying there's like a memorandum of understanding, and there's a year for the state and the county to both decide that they don't want to do that. Is that what I'm reading in here? I might need to ask for Laura Barzilai.
No, the memorandum is clearly for the services at the park, the maintenance, and the lifeguard. That's what the MOAs are.
Okay.
This document is going to transfer or authorize or approve the transfer of these parcels to the state. And once that happens, the only two conditions are the county is going to retain the obligation or the responsibility for the lifeguards and for the park maintenance for a year. That's what we're on today. We're not discussing the contract that the state has with the Hui. That's not for discussion.
Well,
it's simply.
I think it's essential in this discussion.
Well, it's not on the agenda.
Well, it is in a way. This resolution is we are going to be giving the land to the state on faith that they'll be able to get the Division of Land and Natural Resources and the state to stay with this. Because, okay, again, I need this clarity, and I know I'm talking about the end of the road, but they're connected.
Yeah.
This 10-year concession agreement, you're saying
that is not on the agenda.
But
today.
I want to say, is it in place?
That is not in the today. We are talking about the counties, the councils. Yes or no vote on.
It affects
the
my
transfer
yes or
of
a no.
the- okay.
It affects.
Well, then.
So I want to find that information out. I can't.
I think he made it clear that that's in draft form. It's still that you're not going to get another answer from him. You're not. He said what he said.
Well, my question was leading on that is, why are we voting today instead of, because if it takes 2 months or 3 months to get it.
They cannot move forward unless they have the land.
You can't make that.
They're moving forward on the assumption that this will pass. Yeah, this is the first step.
So what if they don't do a good? What if they don't give us what we want? Then what do we have? It still belongs.
Councilmember Cowden. It's Councilmember Cowden. What is that? That's a soup. You got to cook soup for the office. Okay. Listen, this is our duty ends with the transfer.
That's why I want to ask these questions before we give it away.
He answered the question.
He didn't.
Right. He cannot
He did not answer the question. So I had another question.
Go ahead.
So the existing 10-year concession agreement, that's in place. So nothing's going to take that away.
It will be in place when we agree on the final draft. No.
Okay, it's not in place.
I'm 99.9% sure that will not fail. That will be coming within 6 months.
And when it goes to the legislature, but my concern is 2 years from now, 5 years from now, can a governor or the legislature undo what we put in place?
I mean, the laws can be changed. I can't imagine why they would. This is something that we have in statute already, and it's authorized by our board, not the legislature or the governor. I mean, if this fails, it's not unprecedented that we give lands back to the county, right? That's happened multiple times. if you remember the White Paw school lot and the resilience center that was proposed, that was state land. We EO'd it to the county. It can work both ways, Felicia.
Okay, I'm just trying to find out, because these guys have been on a month-to-month agreement, revocable permit for a long time, and then the Hanalei Initiative has been their contractor for quite a long time, and I've been really pleased at the money that it's generated for the community. I've been pleased at who it's employed, and I've been pleased that it's put in the bathrooms. It's probably put in $1 million worth of shuttles. So they're doing a great job. So I'm just wanting to make sure that I do my due diligence the way I would want if I was on those nonprofits, to make sure that they're going to be able to hold on to this once we say yes.
Yep, I appreciate that. I think I've kind of said my piece, but since you mentioned it, 55 jobs created by this in the community. State Parks only has 2, right? So that's immense community benefit. There's an economic driver here too, and it's keeping people in their own communities.
That's right, and I want to just make sure that that continues, and I want to make sure that it's possible. So,
follow-up question, Chair? Please. You, Mr. Carpenter, you mentioned 25-year commitment. What were you referring to?
The amount of time that I personally, through my work, have been involved with communities between Hā'ena and Nu'ualukai, right? Nice. I've spent so much of my career wearing 3 different hats: archaeologist, planner, and now mostly deputy administrator, but acting administrator now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good. This one is for Pat. And again, thank you for working with all these people and working with the folks in Hā'ena. And so it looks like you guys have been thinking about this for 7 years, is that correct? 6 years? I'm just kind of curious why the council wasn't included in that, or is some of the council and simply not me?
We've, over the years, when it's come up as a topic, we've been very transparent about how we were viewing it and this option. I mean, up until this point, it's been more informal talks, but now it's the time, it's really coming to an head and getting serious about it. But up until this point, we've had conversations with everyone, community members, council members on this.
I know we had one 2 months ago, maybe. We did that maybe 2 months ago. Did you ever do a briefing? I can't recall. Did you ever do a briefing on this in front of council?
No, we never did this as a topic. No. I don't think it's ever gotten to the point where we felt that it was appropriate to do a briefing up until now. Yeah.
Any other questions for the administration or the state? If not, thank you very much. Now we can start with the registered speakers.
Chair, the first registered speaker is Presley Wan, followed by Pua Chin.
Aloha, Chair and Honorable Council. My name is Presley Wan. I am a lineal descendant of Hā'ena, Kalalau, and even we can trace our ancestries back to Nihoa. I think up until a couple of months ago, I was president of the Hui Maka'aina na Omakana, and been able to see this evolution where it was driven by our kapuna, our strategic plan to envision all these programs and all these things. And one of our goals as a hui was having some kind of an income. And so that's evolved in ways that we never even thought, And mostly important is bringing all our youth programs. I think, like I said, I'm one of 2 kuleana owners left in Hā'ena. The concept of the state park and incorporating the county park was a concept that started in the 60s because there was a condemnation process. Fortunately, the funding ran out on the other side, on the Hanalei side of the Imahuli Stream, where our kuleana is. So we still have our kuleana. And I just wanted to reflect back on the success that we've had. And if anything, you know, I'm a product of the 60s and the 70s, and I never thought I would ever say this, you know, that we can work with government. I would have choked saying that, you know, in my 60s and 70s. So I think, you know, I'm just so impressed with being able to work with state parks and not only on a professional level, but actually on personal levels. You know, Mr. Carpenter, and secondly, the community itself got some strong leaders. Example, right after the flood, these young people didn't wait for the FEMA to show up, the county, the state to show up. They were in action. So these are the leaders that we are taking over. So, mahalo.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker. And I know some of you, this might be your first time. Come on up. This is your first time. So, and I didn't share this with Mr. Juan, but you have 3 minutes on your first go around. So when the light turns yellow, you have 30 seconds. And then when it's red, your time is up. And then you can come back for a second round after everyone has spoken.
Is it on? Hi. Aloha, I'm Kaua Chin. I'm the Executive Director for the Hui Maka'ainana o Makana. I'm here just formally to say that we want to support the transfer. And primarily it's because we want to support the community in being able to decide how they want to see their park managed. And we know our success in Ha'ena at the state park shows us that that process works and that it's a process that's in place. So I've already submitted written testimony, so I'm not going to reiterate all of that, but I just wanted to say thank you for your consideration. Also, thank you to the mayor for being willing to put this forward.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Gabrielle Edwards. I'm a small business owner in Wainiha. I've already submitted written testimony, but I wanted to give additional. I fully support the proposed transition of Ha'ena State Park from county to state management. While transitioning an important piece of land and holding from county level to state controlled sounds really concerning on a surface level, we've seen firsthand how beneficial it has been for Ha'ena State Park, as well as management from the Hui and partnership with Hanalei Initiative. The destination management in place has greatly improved not only the life and well-being of the park, but also provided a forever access to residents across the island. Shuttles are providing not only educations for visitors while traveling through the Waipa to Ha'ena corridor, but have also reduced traffic drastically over the last few years. During community meetings, there was and continues to be overwhelming support by local families and full-time residents alike. We've already seen the benefits for us, and residents' wants and needs should be valued much more than visitors' requests. I appreciate the county's years of collaboration with DLNR and the commitment to move forward to a community-centered management structure that prioritizes cultural integrity, environmental protection, and safe, fair access for all Hawaii residents. I look forward to the transition of the park and encourage your support of the resolution.
Thank you very much.
Joel Edwards, followed by Joel Guy.
Good morning, Joel Edwards. I'm coming, I did submit written testimony, but I'm coming to you today as a small business owner and resident of Wainiha. Number one, I want to thank the mayor, county and state employees, our nonprofits for hosting 2 community meetings. I've said again that it was an exercise in real community cooperation, collaboration, respectful communication between us, and tears were shed at the last one just because of people coming together. People had questions, people had concerns, those were answered. So my daughter and my son and I own a historical market just miles away from Hāʻena, and we have seen firsthand how the current co-management system with both the Hui and Hanalei Initiative has demonstrated how community and culturally grounded stewardship protects resources and creates more informed, respectful, and prepared visitors. Just as important, though, this model is finally allowing residents from across Kauai, as well as statewide, to enjoy a place that many felt had too many barriers to entry and were unable to visit for far too long. As a business owner, we're seeing these positive effects firsthand. Just yesterday, we had a family from the west side come through the market and enjoy themselves after a day of enjoying KA. They indicated that it had been years since they had been through, and now they visit almost every few weeks. We are also seeing more and more outer island residents visiting alone, and also while they're here to see their island ohana. This transfer ensures this proven successful community-driven management can continue and strengthen. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Joel Guy.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Joel Guy. I work for the Hanalei Initiative. I'm happy to answer questions about the initiative, but I wanted to speak as an individual. Thank you guys all so much for taking on this incredibly important topic. Excuse me. Personally, I was, fortunate enough to have lived in Hanalei all of my life, but I was really lucky to grow up right next to this park. So, like, for the first 18 years of my life, most of my childhood was spent in and around that area, and it was truly some of those formative times where families from around the island would come camp out there for just, it felt like months, right? They would be there all summer long, and you would build relationship with little kids out there when I was a little kid, and learn to fish with them, and learn to dive, and then learn to scrap, or learn to whatever you're doing down there. And it was just a real special time. So it's always been a place that, for me, and I can't go back like Billy. I love watching his historical story, telling that history. But for me, it was just from 70s to 90, and it was really active down there. It was a really busy place that had a lot of local people always. And then as an adult, as an employee of the Hanalei Initiative, I get to work with some of these great people every day, caring for this area. And I think Joelle said it nicely. I've heard it a few times that there's a lot of benefits that this system provides at KA, but I would say that one that brings us the most joy is when you're working down there and you see like a local family pull up that hasn't been out there for decades. And you can see their look in their eye. They're just like, Hanalei gets absolutely crazy for months with visitors, where you cannot, like the lines at the coffee shop and the lines at every restaurant, and it's just, you can't park anywhere. And they always feel welcome in that place. They always feel like that's a place that, and the smiles are huge. And, I might recognize guys from high school that maybe didn't love me in high school, but it's all shakas that day. They're just really grateful to see somebody and a group of people that are helping them. And then when you see the relationship between the visitors and the residents in that park, it's never contentious, because I think they both feel how fortunate they are, right? The residents grateful that, hey, you're respecting us to be able to come to a place again, and we never turn anybody around. And I appreciate Alan says that a lot. Like, we make sure that that's a priority. And then the visitors, like, hey, you guys treated us like you respected us, like you wanted us here. Nobody's yelling at us. And then you go down to the beach park, and I'll make my final point that down there it's like more like tourists on tourist scrapping, right? It's not, because it's just tourists kind of park, and then they're mad, and we invite them to come down, and there's only 35 spots there. And so you see this really contention between the visitors. It's like, hey, we invited them out here, and then we provided them nowhere to park and no way to enjoy themselves. So this system will allow them back in, and I just applaud the mayor and his whole team. The work that Polly Phillips has done on this and their whole team to make this happen, I just appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Joe. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to testify for the first time? Mr. Cycles?
the record, Lonnie Sykos. Now, I'm not from the North Shore. I don't get any money from the Hui or anybody else. I have no benefit whatsoever, with the exception that I have driven out to the state park, and it is a terrific experience. What my question is why is the county incapable of doing the same thing at county parks? And so your resolution has a statement in it that is factually incorrect. Somebody might call it a lie. And what the statement is this is going on because there was an unintended consequence of setting up the program in the state park. It's at the bottom of page 1. And so there was no unintended consequence. The intended consequence was to restrict the number of vehicles parking at the state and forcing them to park somewhere else. And so where else are they going to park except where they park, creating the problem that you're addressing today? But I'm going to make the observation. I challenge any of you to leave this meeting, drive up to Kapahi Park, and you will find that the parking lot in the park in Kapahi is in exactly the same circumstance because the state closed the access to Hōʻike Falls. And so the tourists drive up there to see Hōʻike Falls, and they can't get to the falls, and so they go back and they hang at the park. And so I'm not upset with the tourists hanging at the park. I'm simply making the observation that it is the exact same circumstance as at the county's Hyena Park. And so the county has no plan. You know, like 9 years you were talking about. You've had a decade to figure out how to deal with the excess traffic at Hyena State Park. And the only solution you have is to give the park away. And excuse me, Mr. Mayor, but that is $1 billion property that we're giving to the state for nothing. At least make the state pay for all of the people that they send into Kalalau Valley who twist their ankle and we have to helicopter out to the tune of millions of dollars a year. And so we're giving this park away and getting, from my perspective, not living in that community, getting next to nothing for it. I also don't trust future legislators that whatever deal gets made today will be maintained. And I'll come back for my next few minutes. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak for the first time? If not, is there any registered speaker that, Mr. Kubo.
Clayton Kubo, Waimea Kauai. You know, when this thing had all started, I wouldn't say I had some questions in my mind, okay? Because I went a few times to KA. I couldn't even park over there. I was so pretty disgusted. So in a sense, whereas I can see that this being one much better even improvement. But in a way, I guess it's in you guys' hands right now. So the situation I'm going to say is this. If you guys don't take action, then nothing good is going to come of it. And I get it, the permit for camp over there, I hope they're going to stand. Yeah, I really hope so. Because that's going to be one real good thing for us guys over here on this island to go camp at different spots, yeah, different locations. And another thing is this. Again, I don't like reiterate what somebody else had said, but the rescues on that trail is very much increasing, major increasing. On November 15th, through the group Kauai Hiking and Beyond, we did our first volunteer trail maintenance over there because I took it on saying to myself, we need to do on volunteer trail maintenance over there. We worked with the state parks, we got a permit, we went in and we did what we needed to do. But still, there is much more to do there yet. We're only doing 0 to 2 miles because that's the hot spot. December 20th, we're going to do another one. We'll see who else is going to volunteer. I hope some of you guys on this council, because at least it's going to be one first-hand experience for you guys to see how much traffic is on that trail. But in the end, I see this as a good thing. Mahalo nui. Aloha.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak for the first time? If not, are there any registered speakers that wanted to speak for the second time? And if not, oh, Mr. Juan. Maybe you could just state your name again for our captioner, please. Thank you.
My name is Presley Juan. I just wanted to thank the mayor for, pretty much summarizing all the problems that led us to this point. So I urge you folks to take this next step in the transfer, because it is a problem. It's a real bad problem down there, the parking situation, and all the other problems associated with the parking challenges. So I just wanted to thank the mayor for really summarizing beautifully the issues, why it's important. So, and it is a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else not registered? Mr. Sarkos, did you have more to say?
For the record, Lonnie Sykos. At the beginning of this meeting, and I thank the council chair for protecting the public's civil rights in regards to due process and a division of our county applying for a grant without prior permission from the council and receiving the grant, and in that, the council chair was absolutely correct. And the issue is not the council. The issue is we have a civil right to due process, and the violation of due process violates our civil rights. And so the public understands. The council has never discussed this before. This has never been an agenda item. I live in Kapa'a. There was no outreach. I spoke to my 5 immediate neighbors, all born and raised on Kauai. None of them had heard about this. And they would have been here, except they didn't want to take an unscheduled day off from work to come in. And so the public understands we're going to give this park away with a single public hearing today if you guys agree to give our park to the state. I'm adamantly opposed to it. I am politically opposed to the entire idea of why you're giving this park away, which is you all admit that the county is incapable of operating our own parks. The county is incapable of maintaining our parks. The county is incapable of controlling parking, and thus we need to give this to the state because they have more competency than us, and yet immediately adjacent to this park is Kalalau State Park, which is the poster child of the incompetency of DLNR and BLNR. And so I am utterly against this at this point. I am utterly for what is trying to be accomplished. But as Member Cowden was so rudely scolded by Member Kuali'i for bringing up the obvious questions, which is, once this happens, there's no guarantee. First off, the legislator can change the law, the government can change his mind, council can pass new things, and so nothing's carved in stone. And whatever agreement we hear today, there's no agreement. It's just memorandums of understanding. And so, sorry, but I'm opposed to the way that this is being done, not to the intended outcome, except I don't want that park being given to the state. That's wrong.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Billy Keeney, again, Assistant Director of the Hui, also Open Space Commissioner. I just wanted to help to ease some of the concerns that Felicia has and others have about how can we make sure that this is something that's going to be perpetual, how it's going to be have some security, and the one way I can answer that is that it's, again, that has many folks in the that have sat up here, is it's going to, because it's be managed by the community. That is the one way I can assure you folks, is that if it's managed by the community, it's something that is taken on by the community as something, yes, not fiscally, but management-wise, and co-manage with the state. The idea here is co-management and relationships, and I think that is probably your biggest bet here is co-management and relationships, and that takes you a long way. And we've seen that in Haena. That is that has been our tried and true, is relationships. You know, Uncle Press can attest to that. He'll fly up to Oahu and knock on doors and talk to people face to face, form relationships, and that has gotten us very far. And forming relationships with other communities doing fisheries work, that's gotten us very far. Maintaining good relationships with our own community and our practitioners and other community members, that's always going to get you very far. And that's and the Hui is strong and sustained because I'll put up a picture, is because of this, right? Yeah, it's because of this, right? So this is if you guys know Otto Forrest, this is his daughter. This is O'Eo. We surrounded O'Eo maybe like 2 years ago in front of Haena Beach Park. Doesn't happen often, right? And it's because we had access to that place, right? And so this is the kind of thing that we want to continue to do and to see at Haena Beach Park, and why we ask for access, why we ask for camping. Yeah, it's what we hope to see again in that place, and why we think it's going to continue, and why we think it's going to be a successful model to keep going forward. Yeah. Well,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else? If not, I'll call a meeting back to order, and we are due for I know this is bad, but we got to take a caption break. We're going to do it now because I think we'll have some lively debate. Okay, so 10 minutes. Ms. Holland? Yeah. Well, you can go first.
Okay, I'll pour my coffee after. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the testimony that we received. I've been following this very closely. As Parks Chair, I get to work closely with our Parks team. Been talking about this over the last few months, but the meetings have been happening for the last couple of years with the Hui. So I'm super thankful for all of the conversation. At this last meeting, I felt we really had kind of dive into the issues that that area faces that we want to have addressed. And I think it's hard because we all want to address the issues first and make sure that we get where we want to go and then kind of figure out, okay, well then who should do that? But unfortunately, that's not the way that this works. We have to, allocate that responsibility. And in this case, it feels very clear to me that the state has the capacity to move into a management system right away that will give the community the things that the community is asking for. And so that's what matters to me. Quite frankly, I think it's rude and out of line to consider this place a place based upon a value of a park. This place is priceless. So to compare the needs of our community and the needs of the Hāʻaina families and generational families that want to see this management, to me that is more important than any monetary value that the county may have in owning its park. We manage 83 parks. We have a lot of parks. Yeah, Hāʻaina is a beautiful park. And yeah, there's a part of me that, as Parks Chair, sure, maybe I'd like that park to be under my responsibility, and I'd like that oversight, and I think the county should, and county benefit. But the reality is, for me, is that the environment out there, the community out there, the resources out there are what matters to this place and what I support. We're obviously dealing with an epidemic of over-tourism on Kauai. We are dealing with it across the board. I'm dealing with it at Kapahi Park, the street that I was born and raised on. I understand that we have to think very much outside the box, and I'm working now with our staff and with the members of the administration to kind of come up with a path forward for Kapahi, to come up with a path forward for these other places, but we have a path forward for Hāʻaina. We have a solution for Hāʻaina right in front of us. So for me, I reflect also on the fact that this is a humility thing. This isn't about us, me, county, my role. This is about the humility that we have to see that we might not be able to do this the best that we want to do it. We might not be able to reach the goals that we want to reach. And if we can, it might be a really long time coming. And the community can't really wait anymore. We've seen place-based management, community-based stewardship as the future of place management of our places and our parks and our environment. And we have to move in that direction. And obviously I support it. My name's on the resolution, and I'm honored that I was requested to ask to introduce, this. I think we talk about, let's make the county do this. And I want to. I'm already having conversations. How do we bring paid parking back to Poipu, to Lidgate, to Blackpot, to our other county beaches? How do we expand a management system to do the things that we need to do on our own county parks? But I understand that there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. And I understand that that's not going to be a quick process. And I'm just getting started. This is my first year. So I'm committed to riding that through as far as we can. Let's figure out a solution to pull back our county parks into the management that we would like to see. But that's not an answer right now, and that's not an answer today. But today we have a path forward, and we have the support of the families, the generational families that manage that place. We have, basically the mayor saying, look, I want to complete this before I'm done. It's my last year, and I want to make sure that you guys have this place to, in perpetuity, to create the management style that you want to see. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so, it definitely has my support entirely. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody that's, weighed in. I appreciate the hard conversations that we had at the last meeting last week where we kind of said, look, like, yeah, I want to see this and I want to see that. But at the end of the day, I looked at all of you guys and I said, I need to know, does the community support this transfer? Because that's what we're voting on today. Just the transfer, not how much cars, not how many people, not who's going to access, not the access to the beach, not these rules. That's going to take years to develop, The process is today, do we initiate that by passing that over to the community and to the state? And absolutely, I'm in support. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chair.
Next, Mr. Puli.
I can be very brief. Ditto everything Councilmember Holland just said. And I would say the most important thing to me personally, I've been out to Ke'e. I brought visitors out to Ke'e. The system working there is amazing. I hadn't been for years prior in the old way when, you know, it was so true. You would drive out there, no place to park, frustrated, turn around, you know, end up somewhere else. So it works, and all kudos go to Hui Maka'ainana or Makana for what they do. And I love that, you know, they're mostly Hawaiians too. So the faces that we put public to our tourists, the beautiful native cultural smiles and all of that, that's important too. And so they are from that place. There's nothing more important when you think about the native culture of when you're from that place, you have the kuleana for that place. When you're not from that place, you respect the people that have the kuleana for that place. And if they are the ones coming forward and saying this is what we need, then we respect that. Absolutely. This is so easy. Thank you.
Mr. Kanashiro.
Yeah, I'll be voting in support of this resolution. You know, I just appreciate the mayor and everyone that's worked hard on it. You know, this has been going on for years. This is pre-COVID. That's a long time. Obviously, you know, COVID put a hinder in plans like this. But, you know, it's been going on for a long time, and I'm glad it's picked up traction again. You know, the community has put in a lot of work. If you go to any other community and you say, let's all work together and try to do something, you're going to get a whole bunch of opinions. But at the end of the day, how many people or groups are actually going to put in the work? And out on the North Shore, you see it. All the different groups have put in the work. You see how KA Beach operates. It operates awesome. I'm a prime example of someone that would never go out there. You know, I don't want to fight with traffic. I don't want to try and, it's impossible for me to pack up my family early in the morning to get out there to get parking. Do I go out there now often? No. But if I do, I know I'm going to have parking, you know. And so the way it's been managed is unreal, you know. And again, it provides a much better balance. It was hectic out there. Would I ever stop in Haena? No. That place is crazy. You know, there's cars all over the place. There's people all over the place. And, you know, it's just, it provides the way the group has been taking care of the KA Beach State Park, it provides a better, just a better experience for everybody. Better experience for the visitors and a much better experience for the residents, which I'm appreciative of. So it strikes a good balance, and I see that happening here at Haena State Park also. You know, also, this provides economic opportunity for the North Shore. There's not a lot of economic opportunity out on the North Shore. If they didn't have that KA Beach Park, that's 55 jobs gone. 55 jobs on the North Shore is a lot of jobs. And this will provide another opportunity, another venue for locals out there to get a job. I mean, how hard do you think it would be for someone that lives out there to have to come work all the way in Lihue every single day? Or come and work out on the west side or in Kapa? You know, they have to travel hours to get out here. This economic opportunity is unreal for the community out there, and I fully support that. So with that, yeah, I just want to say I'm in full support of it. I have all the confidence in the groups that are participating and families that have lineal ties to the area to do what is going to end up being a lot better than what is managed now. I mean, right now we mow it and we have a lifeguard. You know, I don't see the county doing any more than that. Realistically, you know, the way it's being managed now with the state and the partnerships is a lot better, and yeah, I think it'll be great for everybody. So it's an easy vote for me. I'll be voting in favor of the resolution.
Thank you. Mr. Cavallo?
Yeah, I just want to say totally supportive. I'm sorry. Having been involved in so many different situations with the North Shore community, and just what resonates again is the community, everybody pulling together from Kiki to Kupuna. I'm going to use that in situations that resonates within the entire community for me. And I think that's what is the difference here. And we got to move forward. I know Mayor is totally supportive of it, and we continue to work together, all of us. But knowing the situation down on the North Shore, and in this particular case, the key leaders within the community, how it said earlier, right, community management. community management, working together, all of that, right? And then the resources that you need is not just today, it's tomorrow and the future that can happen with the support from our community. So I just wanted to, without repeating, but knowing that the support is there. I know tomorrow when you folks get together, everything is going to take one step at a time, move forward, and heaven knows what the next steps will be. But for now, this is an important decision and an important discussion we're having right now, and I'm totally supportive. So I just wanted to say that, and look forward to more opportunities in the future. And mahalo to the state team, working with the county team and the community team, and we pull them all together and let's go. So thank you.
Councilor Cowden.
Okay, I also want to again express my gratitude to this entire room and for all the success that we've had over this time period, this last 25 years. It's heartwarming to see the descendants of the area holding leadership. I love Billy's story about his great-grandfather and his heritage in there. Atta Chandler, who is the current president, he's the grandson of our former Hyanna Beach Park manager, Francis Chandler. I remember when I was even like camping in the beach there, and the whole family was pretty much camping at the park. It was a really wonderful time and a really wonderful exposure for me in coming into the island and, you know, his grandmother just being so unbelievably beautiful to me. And he also, Atta also is from the Mahuiki lineage, which has a really key, almost guardianship of the end of the road in the Nepali. So there's so much that's appropriate for that. I want to do a quick acknowledgement of some of the earlier people. I remember when Jeff Chandler with Moku Jr., Kaili, Kalalau, Kaimi Hermasura, under Uncle Tommy Hashimoto's efforts. They were some of the very beginning, and it was such a great program he had out there for the young men. I want to also acknowledge Keli'i Alapai and Nalani Alapai Hashimoto, you know, how much good work that they did. So I'm proud of Hyanna as being a first pilot of 4 state parks, you know, that are doing stewardship. And I will be supporting this and supporting the will of the people. So I don't want you to all think that I'm like against what you're doing or to have my concerns read that way. But I do want to, at least for the sake of the record, express what I can, you know, the potential future layers of government, like this maybe 10 years down the road. 20 years down the road, a lot of us will age out. And I'm saying this I'm hoping that my concerns are going to influence the policy development for how that concession agreement, or whatever we're going to call the longer term permit, that there is good pieces in there that puts right into the words about nourishing the local economy and nourishing the existing history and perpetuating it. I want that somehow to go in there, because the word of caution that I have as a person who's in business, and when, you know, I see things, I go, wow, they could so easily monetize the Nepali. I think you could easily sell 1,000 permits at the end of the road for $75. That's $75,000 a day. That would, if it maxed out, it wouldn't, but that's $27 million, right? That could go into the state budget, that could help to fund other parks. So it's a big temptation that future leaders that don't have anything to do with Hāʻina or even Kauai, they might be tempted by that. And so, Alan, I so appreciate the work that you've done and the legacy that you've put in there, and our home team that has really been where the rubber hits the road, literally and figuratively, in making it happen. So my concern, for when the county has a park, the county's kuleana is for Kauai only. The state government, their kuleana is for all the islands, and finding ways to generate revenue to meet the burden for everywhere. So I'm hoping very dearly that whatever contracts that are put in place, that there's good ways to make sure that they can be the ones that are repeating it, and that there is goes right into that documentation, that the nourishment, the economic development of the area is deeply put in place there, and I honor all that you all are doing.
Thank you. Mr. Bulasan?
I'm going to be in strong, full support of this resolution. Again, I'll echo all the mahalos that was shared, Mayor, State for being here. But mostly the most touching part for me of this entire discussion and process was the history provided by Billy. It reconnected my experience with him for the first time when we met, when I volunteered on Aina, and it reminded me of why I chose to sit in this role. It's for moments like these. When I think about this decision, it's not like it's a weird decision that for me, in the sense that how I see it is it's more revitalization and restoration of people in place. In a very different way. When you think about revitalization, restoration of space, you typically think, for me, land back. Right? And I think land back, getting this back into the hands of the people of space that will care for space. But it's just a weird way to say it because it's land back to the state, into management, into the people. And in general, most times, the community might feel like, oh, this is terrible. Just a terrible look, giving something to a bigger entity to manage in the midst of all these things. But what makes me very excited for this is just this historically, you see that the community of the space, and as was presented in the presentation, was that they've always been here and has always been working and have always been finding ways to make it a healthy place for Aina and for people. And they've been core to the beliefs and the values and the cores, and they've always fought, and they're here today, and they're saying we can continue to expand our ability to make this a healthy place for Aina and for people. And that makes me super excited for this resolution and for the fact that we're giving opportunity back because it was always and has been in their hands because by the work that they do, and we're doing it in a different way. And that's the point of it, that the vehicle of how we do these things may never look like the way that we want it to look like, but if it works and it's working, and we know that it can work in the future and has worked in the past, I always put my trust in the Aina and the people and the work that is being done. And so I'm really excited and looking at ways that we can continue to support this on the county side, as I'm sure that on this council and in our administration and in the future, it's not a mere of we're just passing this off. We're part of this role because we are of this place, and we're going to work on this place, whether it's in the hands of the state or in the hands of the county. We're always going to be part of this process because we're never giving up our responsibility to people in place. So thank you again for this administration and this team to make this possible, and I'm in full support.
Thank you. Ms. Holland, you have something else?
Yes, I just want to add a few things. I just kind of want to address Councilmember Cowden's concerns. I think it's rightful that we're always looking at the possibilities of things that can go wrong, and it's important that we do think ahead. I think nothing within government is perfect. I think no matter what, anything can change. The next mayor that comes on next year might not want this to happen, might not want this to be a priority. Everything could change for the Aina Park. The state, anything could always change. What I'm super confident about in this situation is that our management style is moving more and more into the place of these kind of local stewardship arrangements. And I'm super confident in the community out there that, for a long period of my life, I was very much embedded in and felt like a part of. And a lot of those people that I've grown up with that are here today that have been, in my life for so long, that I've watched Aina change from this place where we used to go party and be in places where we should never have been to like all those places now being protected. My confidence is in the community never allowing that to happen. And if those things change, that place will be shut down by that community. that community will not allow for the mistreatment of that place moving forward. And the next generation is even stronger in the history, stronger in the culture, stronger in the language. And I'm so confident that that'll only get stronger. So while nothing is perfect and we can't guarantee laws aren't going to change, I can guarantee that that community will not lose the management of that place in perpetuity. That's my confidence. And I'd like to just... Go ahead.
So I respect that, and I get that you are probably the same age as Billy, would be my guess. Might be in the same class. I remember his first day of kindergarten, so I have watched the change and been a part of that community. And I lived in Hyanna for a while. I lived in Wainiha. I lived in Hanalei. Now I admit I live in Kilauea, where a lot of Hyanna and Wainiha and Hanalei have moved to. I've been part of the economic migration. So when there are unintended consequences, I'll use that phrase, because they do happen, and most of the time they manifest. And I don't want to state that into this, but I have watched the gentrification of the area, and the more nice and pristine you make it, the more valuable the land is, the more people are pushed out. And so in the time that I remember when I taught at Hanalei School, it was mostly, it was like, I'd say, a patch of blonde and then ehu and brown hair. I could always find us at the state events because there's the blonde patch. Then you watch that move to Kilauea, and most of the population of Hanalei has changed. The demographic has changed. And so when you have confidence that 20 years from now, we're going to have that many, I go to so many funerals, I see so many people move away, it's heartbreaking to me. So I think a way to not have that happen is to keep something like what Hanalei Initiative, I really want to give them a big shout out because how much they've done as well in this. They are the largest employer in all of this. So they've done such a great job of employing people from the community. I always smile. So that helps. But I have watched many, many things, and I won't give a bunch of examples of when, but I could, believe me, of when we have made commitments to things. I'll throw one, TAT. When we've made commitments to things and it gets taken away in not that long of time. So I know that these things happen. So please understand that my caution is respect and out of love for this community that I've watched. I met Joel when he was in high school. I've known Atta since he was in diapers.
Anyone else? If not, I want to thank the mayor for that bold decision to move forward 6 years ago, knowing that it was going to come with some kind of controversy. Like Mr. Kubo, I think when I first heard the discussion that this was going on, I wasn't privy to any of the meetings, but I had concerns as well. Like, why would we be giving this asset away? But after hearing the details, I was much more comfortable. I don't understand the animosity against the state. I mean, in some of our testimonies that we receive, it's like the state is the evil stepmother. And I don't get that. I just don't. I look at the state as our partner. I look at the state as our friend. And yeah, do they do everything right? No. Do we do everything right? No. But partnerships, that's what makes these things work. And at the end of the day, as Mr. Carpenter stated, there was a time we didn't have funds to do stuff like this, and now we do. So that for me is a big benefit that the county cannot afford it, but the state can. And I want to make it very clear that there's a huge difference between ownership and management. The fact that the state will be the owners of the property. Who cares if it's the state or the county? It's not like we can go get an equity loan because we get additional assets. I mean, there is some impact, but I just kind of wanted to read three of the three letters that we got in opposition. And the first one was, no park should be controlled by these separate organizations and no portion of the park. I wish they were here so I could ask them, are you satisfied with how we are doing it now? No. The second one said, Panay Beach Park has been managed well at a local level with nonprofits who can provide better management and care locally as opposed to larger state management. The state is not going to manage this. It's going to be the local nonprofits. So again, misinformed. At the moment, I oppose giving the park to the state, and I'm hesitant of Hanalei Initiative until they commit to reducing the number of actual tourists and not just the cars on the road. Hanalei Initiative, if you ever come to that position where you have the authority to limit the number of tourists come, let me know, because I'll be more than happy. Obviously, again, misinformed, unfortunately. I'll tell you a real quick story. When my father-in-law passed away many years ago, he had a Toyota Camry. He had a car, a Toyota Camry. It was just a regular Camry. It was old. And obviously it ended up with my wife. And so we have this extra car. Now, I had an option of keeping the car and taking on the expense and taking care of this car, which I really didn't need. Or at the time, I had an employee whose van had just broke. And she was in need of a car. So I told my wife, would you have an issue if we it's no loss to us. We're not losing money. I mean, yeah, we could sell it for $3,000, I guess, or whatever. Or we could give it to the employee who needed the car. She had kids. And my wife said, no, give him the car. Now, once I gave her the car, I had no control of that car. She could sell it. She could destroy it. She could do whatever she wanted with it. But it was a level of trust that I had that she would use the car because she needed the car. That's what today is about. Today is about we're giving this, transferring is a better word, transferring this park, these parcels to the state, who I happen to trust. Not all the time, but in this case I do. And what they do with it is what they're going to do with it. So your concerns are valid. In time, things could change. We don't know. But as it stands today, we have an opportunity to transfer these parcels to the state, who has every intention of transferring the management, not the ownership, but the management to this amazing organizations out there on the North Shore. I'll be honest, Billy, I didn't know the history. You made me feel so good with how this thing transpired, how the lands were conveyed and sold and condemned, and I didn't know all of that. I honestly did not know the history of this place. And after you made it very clear, I actually felt a lot better that we are going to provide these parcels that, yeah, they're not going to get their lands back, but you're going to have control of these lands, and I love the way you portrayed it. So thank you, Billy, for doing that for me, because it made it, at that moment, it made it very clear to me that this was the right thing to do. And really, what is the other solution? Say no to the state? Say no to the mayor and just keep it? And then what? How's the county going to fix this? Is the county going to go reinvent the wheel and try to recreate what was so successful at KA that now we're going to try to copy that? Why not just copy success? I remember an old friend told me a long time ago when I was in the entrepreneurial phase of my life, they said, Mel, copy success. It was actually a coach that told me that. Copy success. So we have a successful program going on right now. Why would we try to change it in any way? So I'm excited to do this today. I actually, and this is to Mr. Seiko's comment about why is it just one hearing, and I was concerned. In fact, my original intent was to move this to the committee so we can have the discussion. But when I went to the HTA meeting a week or so ago out on the North Shore, and I spoke to a few of the people there, and then in talking to many other community members on the North Shore, what Kipukai said is correct and is so accurate, where if we're not from that place, we need to respect those that are. That just is how this place works. And aside from those 3 emails that I got, and one other person that said they were opposed to it, everyone else I spoke to said, make it happen. So I'm comfortable with my vote today, with the one hearing, and I plan to support this. As far as Hōʻike Falls, again, on target. And I know Councilmember Holland is working on it. I believe others are as well, because we have received the complaints from the residents there that their lives have been disrupted because of the visitors parking in that park, because the state, that's one that I'm not happy with, have closed the access. So we are working. How long did it take this, Mayor? 6, 10, 12 years, whatever? I don't expect Hōʻike Falls to be that long, but it does take time. But we will get to a resolution on that so that those residents, that local residents that live there, are not disrupted because of the visitors. So that is.
Chair, I just had one quick thing, and it's more about just the process that we just went through. And I want to make this statement because of any misunderstanding of our process, our meeting process, by anyone in the audience. When the chair gives any council member the floor to ask questions of a presenter, I would never object or interject to stop that person, that council member, from asking their questions. However, I will if that member tries to take over running the meeting and give the floor to someone else to make a comment. When you have the floor to ask a question, that's what you're giving the floor for. Even if that person is the mayor. So if the council member wanted to ask a question of the mayor, we were at a place where we were all given the opportunity to ask questions of the presenter, Mr. Carpenter. The council member could have waited and then said, Chair, I have a question of the mayor, and then that could happen. But none of us should ever take over running the meeting, and that's disrespectful to the process and to the chair. And that's all that happened, to be clear. Thank you.
I have a small point of clarification as well, just for the record.
About what?
About a couple of statements that were just made about Hōʻike Falls being closed by the state. It was not closed by the state. I just want to make sure that we're not repeating that.
Okay. All righty. With that, the motion is to approve. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan?
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho?
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuali'i?
Aye.
Council Chair Opozo?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
The next item is a bill for second reading, Bill number 2975, a bill for ordinance approving a collective bargaining agreement for bargaining unit 12 between July 1st, 2025 and June 30th, 2029.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan?
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho?
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden? Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuali'i?
Aye.
Council Chair Opozo?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item, please.
Bill number 2976, a bill for an ordinance to establish a new Article 29, Chapter 22, Kauai County Code 1987 as amended, relating to disposable bodyboard reduction.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan?
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho?
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuali'i?
Aye.
Council Chair Opozo?
Aye.
7 ayes. Next item is Bill number 2977, a bill for an ordinance amending ordinance number B2025-905 as amended, relating to the operating budget of the County of Kauai, State of Hawaii for the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026 by revising the amounts estimated in the general fund. This is for the Wailua Golf Course Cart Path operating budget, $445,000.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan?
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho?
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuali'i?
Aye.
Council Chair Opozo?
Aye.
7 ayes. The last bill is number 2978, a bill for an ordinance amending ordinance number B2025-906 as amended, relating to the capital budget of the County of Kauai, State of Hawaii for the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026 by revising the amounts estimated in the general fund, CIP. This again is for the Wailua Golf Course Cart Path project.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Bolasan?
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho? Councilmember Cowden?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kanashiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuli'i?
Aye.
Council Chair Pozo?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, before we adjourn, I would just like to take this opportunity and allow members to share their wishes for Thanksgiving. Just want to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving, and it's a great time to be thankful. And don't forget to share the gratitude with those that you love and care about, because you know tomorrow's never promised. So to all of you and to my colleagues and our staff and to everyone, happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy all your turkey or ham or I guess meat-free food for those that don't eat.
Second.
Anyone else?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'll just do also happy Lau Ku'oko'a for our Native Hawaiians, and happy Native Hawaiian or Native American History Month is also celebrated on November 28th.
Anyone else? If not, that concludes today's agenda. Meeting adjourned.
Oh, yeah, I gotta catch a flight.
Did you see him?